Hello, everyone. This is Violet Palmer, and I am the first female referee in the NBA. Please come check me out with Dawn Day on the Vitamin D podcast.
Get your vitamin D right here with me and get excited about your life.
Hello.
Hi.
How you
I'm
doing?
sorry. How are you?
I'm so good. It's so good to see your face.
Oh, thank you.
Wait a minute, Violet Palmer. May I just say happy anniversary to you?
Well, thank you so much. I know 26 years, somebody's still putting up with me. How about that?
Listen.
My wife, I have to say.
Congratulations to you and Tanya. I saw you guys on the gram. I was like, wow, that's love at its finest.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm blessed. No doubt. No doubt.
And I'm blessed to have you here right now because we got some stuff to talk about.
Okay. All right. I'm ready. Shoot.
First female NBA referee. What? What?
Yeah, that's me. Yeah.
No, seriously. Like, what? The first.
Yes. You know, it's funny, Don, I can honestly tell you that, you saying that now it's come to fruition. I think when I started, that was never, ever even a thought process because, when you're going through what you're going through, it was about work and survival and trying to make it and trying to just be the best that I could be, that I never even thought about first, pioneer, barrier breaker, none of those
You
things.
better.
I'm serious. I'm just being honest.
Okay.
Those were not even on my mind. None of that.
Wow.
It was later in my career where after, establishing myself and everybody, kept saying it. And I was like, wow, you know what? I did do that.
I am that one.
I am that. Yes. So I embrace it now. Yes, I do. Thank you. And I accept all of the accolades and I'll take it. And, just happy to be able to say something or do something to help some other young student athlete just get to where they want to get to.
And I just feel like your story is not only for athletes, but anyone that has a dream. That's going after a passion or a purpose. That's what I see.
You are absolutely right. I don't even disagree. 100%. And I can honestly tell you that I found my passion. No question about it.
Okay, so let's dive in. So first, we must say we met through a mutual friend, Mr. Timothy Snell.
Yes.
And actually, when I was on his show, Curvy Style with Timothy Snell, I was getting, I don't know if Tanya was doing my hair, did she touch up my makeup? But I remember her and I having like a whole dialogue. And then, of course, we all hanging out and, just doing our thing. And then I met you. And I think we ran into each other a couple of times over at Wynn Nail Spa, no? Did you ever go to Wynn on Wilshire?
You know what? Probably.
Or maybe I went into one of your girlfriends. And I'm thinking of one, her hair is like a honey blonde and it's natural. And I think she used to have
with
bright
glasses. My Judy.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So I would always see them up there. So that's how we know each other and how we met. And, I'm sitting here and I was thinking about, this story and how to inspire people. Because a lot of times people come about and they're not sure what their passion is. They're not sure what the purpose is. They feel like maybe they can't. They got so many excuses. But it's something to be said when you are one that is establishing the blueprint of it all. Because it's like, how did you fathom to imagine? Well, see, when we talk about vitamin D, we talk about the inspiration. Absolutely. That's from within.
It is. It is. But most of us don't know how to find it.
Well, hello.
We don't know what it is, or we don't know what we can do to get it. And I think for me, I can honestly say, Don, that I found mine pretty early. Now, didn't know how far it would take me, but I found it. And I just wanted to be the best in my profession. And you know what? I can honestly say right place, right time, right gender. I took advantage of every single opportunity that afforded me.
Wow.
That's really literally, But again, you have to kind of step out on faith and want to be, just be the best you can be. It is a little scary to, because I was established in my work career after graduating and got into officiating, and I enjoyed it. It was easy money, it was just fun for me.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Because we think about it. You're from Compton.
Mhm.
You'd say you play ball yourself. You were point guard at Cal Poly.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to know, because you look at your life in a span 30, 40 years later of still being in the game, right?
Uh-huh.
How would you say, or when did you fall in love with basketball?
Oh, I was a young kid. My mom, I can honestly say she tried her best. She put me in the yellow dresses and the pink dresses and the cute shoes and, do my hair. And I can literally remember, Dawn, once, and I kind of went from that little girl, and my brother was 3 years younger than me. So we were two peas in a pot. And all we wanted to do together was be outside playing with our friends. And literally, I tried every single sport. I played everything. And it wasn't like at that moment as a kid growing up, it was just basketball. I did them all. I ran track in school, volleyball, softball. I mean, I was a really, really good softball player. Literally almost thought I was a better softball player than a basketball player. But my love was basketball. So, of course, obviously, once I got to high school, I had a really, really good high school coach who took a lot of time with me and really helped with as far as recruiting, because, in today's world, for at that time, Title IX had just kind of kicked in, and understanding that possibly I could get a scholarship to college.
Now, for those who are unfamiliar, what does Title IX mean?
Title IX is what came about to help women in sports.
Oh, wow.
Women were not receiving scholarships. So, of course, once Title IX kicked in, it really provided funds for universities and colleges to now allow women and for all the sports and colleges to now be provided scholarships to be able to go to school for free. So I was one of those students. I went to school for free. My Cal Poly Pomona paid my tuition. The only thing that my parents had to help me with was my books. I had housing. I had food, stayed in the dorms. All of that was paid for from athletics.
So let me ask you this, though. If they had to pass something called a Title IX just so that females could get scholarships to play sports, what was it like being a female coming up playing sports in general? Was it accepted?
It was accepted, but there wasn't, women couldn't go to different universities and have it paid for. Yeah, of course, women could still play, but here again, we had different rules. There was funds, there was no funding. And when Title IX came in, it really helped with the funding. And of course, now we already know that it's pretty equal for young boys and young girls wanting to make it in college. Now you can you can get a scholarship in probably basket weaving if you were good at it, right. For just a good example. Yeah. But all sports now provide young girls an opportunity, the same opportunities that men and young boys are provided, women and young girls are provided, which that's where Title IX kicked in. So for me, it was one of those where in high school, I'm thinking, if I can, of course, get a scholarship to school and my parents don't have to pay, and this is what I love to do, it's a win-win. I get a free education. I can play a sport that I love. And for me, I just thought there was no WNBA. Once you finish school, if you still love the game, you would have to go overseas and play. And of course, for me, I didn't want to do that. So I'm thinking I graduated. It's time for me to get a job. Had kind of dibbled and dabbled in officiating because of my major in school, just being an athlete. And found once I kind of got my feet wet in officiating, it was over. I felt it. It was like a light bulb just came on. I'm like, oh my God, I love this. This is exciting. It's different. It's fun. I can. And initially, Dawn, I'll be honest, I just really wanted to stay in shape, stay close to the game that I love, and make a little extra money.
Okay.
That
So it
was
wasn't saying like, oh, I want to play ball. Like that is the dream. It was just
no,
something. Okay.
absolutely not. Had no idea that officiating would afford me.
Well, I'm saying even before officiating, because I'm thinking to the point of how you stay connected with the game for so many years, the love of just playing ball, right? So I'm imagining like you go ahead and you're in the NCAA championships. You won 85 and 86, right?
86, I did at Cal Poly.
Did you feel like, oh my gosh, because you didn't want to go overseas, did you feel depleted? Did you feel like it was over? Because I'm thinking like you're in the rush. Every time you get on the court, you got the fans screaming at you, the blood is pumping in your veins to like, not that it's anything wrong, but maybe going to an office job.
Right.
Or perhaps, was that an adjustment?
To be honest with you, when I of course graduated, there was kind of a pause for me saying, okay, now what do I do? And of course that pause being, okay, it's time to go out in the real world. It's time to get a job. And that's where the officiating came in, because that was like a part-time, still can be a part of the game, still love it, still make a little part-time money. And that's really where the officiating part kind of transformed for me personally, where with that transition, once, I knew that I loved the sport and it afforded me a phenomenal education, which was free, which really helped my parents because, of course, after talking to my parents, they both said, you know what, thank you, because we didn't know how we were going to pay for your education. We didn't know if we were going to have to possibly take a second out on our home, to do whatever they had to do to help my brother and I get to school. Luckily, we both received basketball scholarships, which was awesome, but after that is where the officiating came in and where the love of a different aspect of basketball came from. Because for me, it was like the light bulb came on. It was instant. I love it. I'm passionate about it. I'm going to be successful, still not knowing how successful I was going to be. Because at this point, I didn't have any aspirations to get in the NBA. I didn't even really care. I was very, very happy being a collegiate women's basketball official. Very, very happy with that. I would have been doing it to this day, right to this day, I'm sure, if the NBA hadn't have knocked on my door. But again, I go back to right place, right time, right gender, because during this whole collegiate, time frame, and I think I spent eight years being a collegiate official and working my way up. And that's how I was able to work the Final Fours and the championship games, and still being one of the best in the country on the college side afforded me this opportunity to have an opportunity to referee in the NBA.
What? Okay. Where are you? What happened? Where are you when you get this inquiry, this request?
This is hilarious. I was at home, received a phone call, true story, from the late Dr. Aaron Wade. He was Dale Garrison's assistant at the time. Dale Garrison was the head of the officials in the NBA.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Dr. Wade calls me on the phone. He says, Ms. Palmer, he introduced himself, told me who he was. And I'm sitting there holding the phone, Dawn, and I go, yeah, right. Someone's calling me. They work for the NBA, trying to scout women to see if they would like to be in the program. I honestly thought it was a joke. So I really was like, oh, really? He kind of chuckled because he said, and he kind of had this slow drawl, the way he spoke. And he said, Violet, most people when I call them, they're like so excited because, of course, as soon as you say NBA, everyone's like, oh my God, I'm in. And he goes, you were like, really? And of course, we kind of chuckled, but he went through to explain that they were looking to train some women. I was one of those women. Would I be interested? He asked me to send him a couple of videotapes from my college games. He actually saw me, and he was recommended from Booker Turner, which was another big time college referee at the time and one of my mentors. So received my information from him, called me, explained the whole program. After I knew it wasn't a joke, I, of course, said, of course, I would be interested. It was free, didn't cost me a dime other than my time. Of course, I'll try it. So, literally, unbeknownst to me, a week later, I received NBA rule books,
Wow.
an NBA jersey to referee in, and a whole packet telling me in, I think it was a 3-week span, or it might have been 2 to 3 week span, that I would now be going to Salt Lake City for an NBA referee training.
Wow.
And for like 8 days. And that's how it started. And I said, I'm in. Why not? And that's literally how I received the phone call and the opportunity. And that's kind of where everything started for me.
So
right?
How many of you all are there? Is it just you and Cancer? Is there a group? What is
Great
this?
question. It was just her and I.
Wow.
And we were in training with, I think it was about 15 guys in our particular session. And what they have you do is, like even now, like in Vegas, of course, obviously we didn't have it this summer. You know how they have that summer pro league, like in Vegas and all. So that's the same training that I actually attended. I just attended mine in Salt Lake City. And I was, of course, which was great for me because I was able to stay home. It afforded me to go to because we had a summer pro league here in Long Beach as well at the Pyramid. So I actually attended both of those with the same guys. So literally it was her and I and these 15 men. And we had classroom in the morning from about 8:30 until about noon. And your game started, you had a lunch break. And the game started about 2:30. There was 4 games a day. So you either worked the first game, second game, third game, or fourth game. It was all the pro teams with all their free agents, their draft picks, the players from overseas that are trying to get in the NBA. So everyone, of course, obviously within this whole summer pro league are trying to get into the NBA as well as officials. So it's like you have the officiating side and you have the basketball side. And that was the opportunity. Literally walked into a classroom, had no idea what to expect, met these 15 guys. And I can honestly say that those 15 guys are some of my best friends right to this day.
Oh, so you guys were welcomed with open arms.
I wouldn't say welcomed with open arms. I would say had to earn your stripes.
Oh, respect, right?
Oh, absolutely. It was one of those where, of course, everybody was polite and nice, and it wasn't anything like that. But as far as putting in the work and going on the court and refereeing and all of, you had to earn your stripes. You had to learn the NBA rules, you had to learn the mechanics, and you had to go out every single night and improve every single day. Because if you didn't, you wouldn't be asked to come back. So it was either you.
This was like on Survivor before it was Survivor.
Kind of survival for officiating in so many words. Not as dramatic as like Survival is a show, but in our way, yes, it was. Because if you didn't perform, if you didn't do well, then you wouldn't be asked back. And I actually did that for three summers.
Wow.
Before I actually got hired by the NBA.
Wow. So
I did it for 3 summers.
Now, and again, so here you are. So at the time that you're doing the training, are you as well as officiating still in the collegiate level with the women?
Yes, I am. So, which was great for me. I was able to, in the wintertime, do all my college stuff. I still had my full-time job. Mind you, all this, I'm still working for the city of Los Angeles. So I had my full-time job. I'm officiating my college stuff. And then in the summertime, I spend the entire summer training for the NBA to try to be an NBA referee. So during this time, it was kind of a whirlwind for me. Those 3 years I had a lot going on. I can honestly say, Tanya thought I was crazy. you know, and it was so funny because I remember telling her like that last year, I go, it's really not that bad. I just, hopefully things it'll change because I was super busy. And even that last summer, I threw the WNBA in there because
Whoa.
I worked the first inaugural season for the WNBA. So it was almost like full-time job, collegiate referee, summer started, did my summer pro league, the WNBA started, did my WNBA season, and luckily, knock on wood, 97, October, the NBA called and said, "You're hired."
Wait a minute. Where are you at? What's happening? What is
I
going
was,
on?
that's a great question. I was literally in Salt Lake City. I had a exhibition game. You know how the preseason, we call it exhibition season. Everybody else kind of calls it the preseason. So I was literally had a game, the Utah Jazz. It was probably, I think, my fourth exhibition game at the beginning of the season. So I was in my hotel room. Rod Thorne, he was the vice president of operations for officials at the time, called me on the phone and said, "Are you sitting down?" I said, "No." I said, "I would stand." And literally, knock on wood, what a blessing, told me that the NBA was hiring me. I dropped the phone, started, "Oh my God, I can't believe it." I was elated. I really, I pitched myself to really, of course, for me to say, this is really happening.
Wow.
I'm really going to get this opportunity. But again, I knew it, not knowing, how something's going to happen, you just don't know when. Because I had done the work. I had worked hard. I was at the top of my class amongst my guys, and just wasn't sure if the NBA was going to pull the trigger. And I can honestly say that I have to thank David Stern, because at the time, of course, again, he's passed away. He gave me an opportunity that changed my life.
Wow.
Changed my life, literally. I took a leave of absence from my job. I didn't quit right away because I was able to take a leave of absence. So because I wasn't sure, how you're just not sure. I'm like, at that point in time, I think I was with the city of LA for 9 years. So they allowed me to take a leave of absence. I did that and started the NBA season, and was very, very blessed to have a 19-year career, until, of course, my knees started killing me, which they, of course, eventually, that's why I retired. It had nothing to do with anything else other than my body just said, "Okay, Miss Lady, it's time."
Right.
But, that's what happens to all athletes.
And I think, even, getting down, you think about athletes and you think about the passion. One thing that you said is that you showed up. And I want a lot of people to realize you got to show up and be your best. You didn't say, "Dawn, I want to be the best female officiant." You just said official. You want to be the best.
In the world.
And here's the thing.
Woman. Right. You hitting it right on the head. It had nothing to do with being a woman. Now, mind you, we already know, yes. Can I praise that at this point? Yes, I can. But going through at that time, me being a woman had nothing to do with where I was trying to get to. It was about being the best, being at the top, and receiving and taking everything of every single opportunity. Because, and I say this to kids all the time, you have to put yourself out there because you really don't know what's on the other side of that door.
Wow.
But if you don't follow your passion, follow your dreams, then you're going to keep butting heads. You don't know. And you can't be afraid. You have to trust that you're going to do the work, and you have to have that confidence. And I can honestly say that was never really my issue or my problem for me.
And I see that a lot in your story.
Because I found something that I was really good at. And that's the other thing that you ask when you say follow your passion and follow your dream, because if you do that, you will be successful. Yes. Are you going to have stumbling blocks? Of course, we all do. But those things will not stop you from getting where you want to get to.
And let's talk about some of these stumbling blocks. Yes, you were the first to come in there, right? I
Yes.
can imagine. And sometimes I think people call it shade. People say some hateration. Sometimes we fear what we don't know. We dislike what we don't know. Things that are
Absolutely.
different and unfamiliar. While I'm sure that some people's opinions and views have changed once they saw your work ethic and what you were doing on the court, when we talk about stumbling blocks, what are some of those stumbling blocks that you happen to come face to face with, whether it were comments from, commentators, athletes? What happened?
All of them. How about I received them from all of them? And I can start with, even once we got hired, it was the players, because again, it's the unknown, it's change. And as we know in today, change is scary for people. And I think one thing that I can honestly say that I knew that all these comments had really nothing to do with Violet. These people didn't even know me. It was just something different. And I had to understand that I was going into a good old boys club. And the good old boys club, as far as on the player side, a good old boy club as far as the 60 guys that I had to work with night in and night out. It was the unknown. And they, it was so funny because after I would sit and talk with them and I go, fellas, what is the problem? They go, well, we don't know. We don't know if we have to change because you're around.
Can't pat you on the butt. Can
we touch you? Can we curse? Can we, still make our comments? You know how men are. And I said this. I said, how about this? I said, you don't have to change a thing. I'm not asking. I said, all I'm asking for is for you to be respectful of me as a woman. That's all I asked for. I said, if you want to talk about the girl in the fourth row with the big boobs, I'll tell you whether or not I think she's cute. I don't have a problem with that, as long as it's respectful. Now, and the other thing that I can honestly say, as far as with my guys, that once I allowed them to get to know me, and I think for a lot of us, we women, we tend to be kind of a little arm's distance. I wasn't. I said, I want you guys. I want you to get to know Violet, because once you learn me, it's either you're going to like me, you're going to find out the type of person that I am, or you're going to dislike me just because you want to. Because I know that I'm a good person. I know that I am out here every night, just like you guys, busting my butt, working hard. We're all trying to make it. We're all at this point, because you have to realize there's a big difference between officiating for your livelihood and officiating collegiate. That's the difference between college and pro. Because see, now college, I still have my full-time job. This was fun. Now that I'm in the NBA, this is my livelihood. I now have to take care of my family doing this. So for me, it was about business. I got to be good at what I do. I got to stay physically fit. I got to stay healthy. I have to stay in shape. I got to become one of the best, because we're graded night in and night out. I didn't want to lose my job. Most people really don't get into that aspect of possibly not living up to or not being graded the way at the highest level that you can lose your job.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's a whole nother issue. But for me, wasn't worried about it. I'm like, you know what? Hard worker, confident, athlete, knew that I can do it, studied just like for any other profession, that I was going to be at the top of my class and that I was going to stay at the top. That once I made that decision to go into the NBA, I said, oh, the NBA made a big mistake. Ooh. The mistake was they gave me an opportunity. I ain't going nowhere. And to go back to having people tell you that you were not going to be successful really put more fire under me. Dawn, I experienced my bosses telling me, I never forget at one point, one of my bosses said, I didn't really think you were going to make it. I said, shame on you.
To your face?
Oh, absolutely. We had the fans, go back to the WNBA, go back to college, and you have to realize too, when you're a referee, it's kind of a negative profession, period. Because you have to realize we're the ones that everybody wants to yell at. We're the ones that are always wrong. We're the ones that you're either 50% wrong, 50% right when you're 100% right. Because it depends on what side, either they're for the visitor or they're for the home team. So who they gonna blame? You, or I would say me. That's what referees have to deal with. So you really kind of get used to blocking out all that stuff, is what I call it. All the, you tend to learn how to, how your parents used to tell you, girl, not that. So, of course, for me, learned that at a very early age, which I'm sure we all, we were all kind of raised the same. Your parents said, you know what, girl, sticks and stones
may break my bones,
but
words will never hurt me.
So as a referee, you could do all the talking you want. Doesn't bother me. So of course, for me, going out on the court didn't matter if I'm in an arena with 200 or 20,000. It's the same noise.
So let me ask you this, because somebody will say, and I've had people that are just, I figure, I find that oftentimes, and not saying this is related to your story, but people say, God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the call. And so with that being said, is sometimes you don't have everything figured out. Sometimes you don't have the blueprint, but it's like, what is that thing for you that assured you that you were on the right path when everybody is saying no? Because I think sometimes people think that it's an easy ride, like because, this is not for me. And it's like, well, who told you it was going to be easy? Did you think it was going to be easy?
I did not, and didn't even care. Because see, here again, if you have the confidence within yourself, if you're following your passion, if you want to be the best, that's in you. That's in your mind. That's in your heart. And that's what you have to rely on. All that other stuff, it's just background noise. And for a lot of us, we get caught up in the background noise and forget that, you know what? How about all I did was focus on me. I didn't care the naysayers. I didn't care about the guys who didn't like me. I said, if you don't like me, that's on you, because I'm not doing anything to make you dislike me. I'm just being myself. And that's the other thing that a lot of us, we have a problem with, because we try to change to make people like us, or change to be in a particular situation or a particular job. I never changed. Who I am, this is it for me. I haven't changed one bit. And I said, that's when I go back to, either you're going to accept me for who I am, or you're never going to accept me, and we're just going to be on opposite ends.
Who told you that you could be that way?
You know what? I have to say that my mother and my father were probably one of the best. My parents were so positive, and you know what? Go out and follow whatever it is you want, whatever you feel in, or whatever it is you're good at. Go try it, and allow myself, my brother, my sister, allow us to do that and be okay about it, and not worry about what the stumbling blocks are going to be. Don, did I know? Was I, a little bit like, oh my God, if this doesn't work, what am I going to do? Never ever put that in my mind.
It wasn't part of the vision, right? So why did we entertain it?
Absolutely. I'm like, it can't be. This was about, how fast can I learn? How good can I get? How soon can I get to the next season, because I want to be better than I was last season.
Ooh. Wait a minute. I felt something on that one. Yeah. Stop it.
You know what I mean? It's like, get through the season. And it was crazy, because you get through your season and you get to the summertime and you train. I had trainers. I had weight trainers. I had trying to eat right, trying to stay physically fit. You had to do all those things so that when you started the next season, when they, and guys here's what was interesting being a woman, because as soon as they saw me the next season, they go, well, damn, V, you know what? You look good. Oh
V out here killing it.
Oh, killing it. Because most people, and I say this to kids all the time, you have to want to do the work.
Hello. But here,
You,
can
you
I
have
jump in? Let
to.
me just say this.
Yes,
Something that was
please.
so on target, on point when you're talking about seasons. Like for you, you knew your training season. You knew that it was going to take a little bit of work or a lot of work. It was going to take a level of exertion so that she can prepare you for the
Oh,
next season. But once you got to the next season,
absolutely.
you weren't thinking about the last season because you're not there. And I feel that a lot of times, whether you're interested in basketball or not, understand the season you are in your life.
There you go. Period. That's, I mean, and again, I'm, of course, I'm talking, I put it in the terms, of course, in the layman's terms of officiating, because that's where my passion is. But I think this conversation is for anyone in any profession. It doesn't really matter, because the goals are still the same. Your aspirations are still the same. It doesn't matter. And I think the one thing that I learned being around some of the best athletes in the world, there's no way that you look at LeBron James, the late Kobe Bryant, these guys put in the work, and you can see it season after season. So, of course, and we talk about naturally talented, because we all have a God-given talent.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't do anything with it, it's not going to flourish. And
And
I
you know what
think
I
that's
call that?
what
Hard
do you
work
got?
beats talent when talent doesn't want to work hard. Hard
Bingo.
work beats talent when talent doesn't want to work hard.
Girl, you better preach. See, and that's the one thing that we have to instill in children. When I'm speaking to young kids, I go, you know what? All of you are talented, but if you don't want to do anything with it, you're not going to flourish. You're not. And I think for most of us, a lot of people just want it easy. They want everything easy and nice, and let me just go through with no bumps. No, 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 no. The reason why we are who we are is because of perseverance.
Come
It's because
on.
of hard work. It's because of, the whole foot on the throat. We have lived it.
Listen,
We have lived it.
they say pressure makes diamonds. What you
Come
say?
on.
And
There you
here's
go.
the thing. I always have this metaphor. I say, what allows a diamond to shine are the multitudes of cuts that have been placed within it, right?
And they're all in there. There
What?
you go.
From this
Yes,
saying to this saying, but what did you say? You said you knew who you are,
yes.
who you're meant to be. And that's just the same as a diamond. When that diamond steps into the light, as you step forth in your truth, baby, it's nothing but salute and respect.
There you go. But here, see, with that, we have to remember that if you haven't trained, if you haven't studied,
Some
if
shine
you
on that.
haven't done the off-season work, so that of course, when you get in that limelight and all the lights come on, you're going to be okay. If you haven't done that work, those are the ones that don't make it, because they think, oh my God, I'm just talented. I'll get through. It doesn't work that way, and it is night in and night out. You have to put in the work, and even like to this day, where I've already retired, I'm doing. Of course, when it comes to officiating, I have my own referee school. I'm a collegiate supervisor, where I have 45 Division I schools. I have 3 conferences that I'm responsible for. Of course, for me, I'm retired, but I'm still working, which is
Yeah.
great. I can work from home now, set my own travel schedule. Everything is wonderful. But having all these opportunities, and I say this to my referees, I'm in charge of about 100, almost 200 referees. I tell them, I go, one thing you guys have to understand, you will never outwork me. And I'm the boss.
Ooh.
You will never outwork me, because this is what I've been doing my entire life. It's instilled. I know what it takes to be successful.
Mm.
So you stand up in front of the room and you try to tell people how to be successful. What are the best leaders, or what? Examples.
Mm.
The best leaders are examples. And if you can stand up in front of a room and be that example and show them that you can be successful, people will follow.
So what? So hard work, dedication. What's the secret juice to being successful?
Follow it, of course, given you have to be given an opportunity, but you actually have to kind of put yourself out there
To be
to
seen.
receive it. A lot of times well, you know what, I'll wait till tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes 6 months. 6 months becomes a year. A year becomes 5 years. 5 years becomes 10. You end up being that hamster in the little thing, going around in circles, not getting anywhere. It's just a freak of nature.
And they say
But
fortune favors the bold.
there you go. You hit it on the head. There you go.
And it takes, I even said to myself, and I look at this process of coming out with this podcast and having my weekend segment, were times where I've sat down and I cried because I don't know what I'm doing, but I know that I have to. And it's like, that's the fuel that you just got to keep tapping into. And people are like, well, Dawn, how do you get to happy? Or how do you know when it feels good? Just keep running towards that, right?
You keep doing it. Oh no, because trust me, you keep doing what you're doing. You have to realize too, by you doing this, you're reaching young men and women who need to hear this, who need to see you and I. We're young. You know what I mean? They need to see that, you know what? If Dawn did it, if Violet is doing what she's doing, I may have a shot. Because of course, that's what we've used. We all use people that can fuel how successful we become and all of those things. But again, you still kind of have to put yourself out there to be an example for all of the young men and women becoming behind us. And I look at that too. I go, you know what? At least I know that I can take the time to help somebody every day.
Okay, so tell us about it. You have a organization. You were talking about your official school. Tell us about it. What's it called?
Well, it's actually called Basic Referee School. I didn't name it after my name. I didn't, that just wasn't me. But it's a referee school that I hold in the summer times, of course, because of training. Referees have to train in the summer. And I train young men and women who are looking to better themselves on the collegiate level. Because again, once I retire from the NBA, going back to the collegiate level, that's pretty much where my feet are right now. And I can help train and develop. And of course, for me, I'm always looking for new up and coming young referees that possibly could work for me. So it's kind of twofold. I kill quite a few birds with one stone. I can train, develop. I love to teach. I'm mentoring. So it's a way for me to kind of give back, but in return, still training and develop officials that could possibly referee on my staff.
Wow.
Yeah.
And here's the thing that I found so amazing too. I was reading, you were actually, Dee was there for a bit of time and then she departed after 5 years. And then you reigned in your court for 13 years before the next woman came in.
Well, actually, she only made it 4 years.
Excuse me.
She made it 4. And Dawn, I can tell you that, let's see, I retired in 2015. 2014, they hired Lauren Holcamp, one other woman. So I was very, very happy that at least, because I wasn't one and done, because for a lot of years, I didn't think that they were going to hire another woman. And I thought, you know what? Gosh, I want to stay long enough for them to hire another woman, because that again solidified all the work that I had put in.
Right.
Because again, I made it so comfortable. I made it easy, for her to be given an opportunity. So for me, that was another accolade.
Yes.
In my, a feather in my cap, which I'm very, very proud of, because even now the NBA, they have 3 women.
Oh, they're 3 now.
Yes, that are on staff. So here again, if I had not been as successful, done as well that I had done in my 19 years, those women would not be receiving an opportunity. And I can tell you that when I got hired on, there was 𝘸𝘪𝘵 was the only women's commentator. And now you look at male, and she was doing basketball. But see, now we literally have a woman in every single sport.
And oh, wow.
Yes. So, there's a lot of things that I can sit back and look at and go, you know what? I had a little hand in that. Mm-hmm. Now that there's a female official in football, there's in soccer,
that was you.
Yes. And I go, you know what? Thank you very much. And those are things that I sit back and no one has to say a word, but I know, because if I hadn't have done as well as I've done, was as successful as I was, those women would not be receiving their opportunities to this day. And what's crazy is that I receive, emails or phone calls from different people to say, you know what? Thank you, because you paved the way for other women in officiating in male professional sports to have an opportunity. And that's all we're asking for. We just want our just due. We'll work as hard. We'll do your work. We'll do all those things that we need to do. Just give us an opportunity. And I am thankful that I was as successful as I was to give other women that opportunity.
So with your school, are you looking to possibly on a search for the next possibly female NBA referee? Is that an option when people are in your school to guide them in that direction?
You know what? There are options. Yes. Because here again, you know what? Different people have different aspirations. And of course, if I come across any woman, and I have in a lot of cases where women will come to my school and say, hey, you know what, Violet, what do I have to do to try to go on the professional route? I help them with that. No different than I would help you on the collegiate side. It really, really doesn't matter. Most women and I won't just say women, because it can be men or women at this point. I'm not, I'm kind of a sexist, but, I don't have any gender biases. I will help whoever needs help when it comes to officiating. So it really doesn't matter what level. When you come to my school, you can tell me where your aspirations are, and I can help you get, kind of guide you in the right direction. That's pretty much my job.
Wow. Okay. So for anyone's out there that's possibly interested in your school, can you give out the information?
Absolutely. It's actually basicrefereeschool.com, and you can get all the information you need. Basicrefereeschool.com, and it'll guide you in the right direction.
Wow. Okay. So we're slowly wrapping up. Or I was wondering, what is something that you would say to younger Violet? Looking back, what would you say to younger Violet? What would you say to young V out there on the court or in the backyard?
V in the backyard, I would say, continue to work, continue to dream, follow your passion. That's the number one key. The second thing is that I have lived by this. If you dream it, you have to dream it. You can be it. If you dream it, you can be it. And I think for me, that was something that I held on to from the time that I started in my career up until this day. And I can honestly say there's not like some magic potion that it's called hard work. It's called perseverance. It's called putting yourself out there. It's called not being afraid. All these things play into this being successful. But you gotta wanna work. And a lot of us don't like to do, that's the hard part. You have to want to do the work and be as good as you can be. Because It's so competitive, in the real world. It's extremely competitive. And of course, it's even more competitive when you're talking about adding money to the pot. When you start adding more dollars to it, it becomes more competitive, more cutthroat, more scary, more everything. So, of course, if you have done your work, you're going to always be at the top. So you're not going to worry about who's coming behind you. Most people you're like, oh my God, is somebody going to knock me off my throne? Come on, I can't knock you off your throne.
Because I'm sitting on my throne and I'm good. Yeah.
Exactly. And I tell people, I go, I used to tell young officials, in my class, I go, one thing you guys have to understand, you can never, ever, ever be Violet Palmer. There's only one me.
Thank you.
One. There's only one Dawn. That's it. So you can try to be like me, and which is fine, but there is only me. There's only one me.
And that's the real tea.
And that's the real tea right there. But you have to find yours. And I think for young, men and women, that's what what they have to strive for. They have to find their inner self.
I love that. And I hope, whoever is, listening to this right now could even look at this season, what we're in right now, with everything that's going on with this pandemic, that's looking at your story of being the first female to do it, to run the game, to be the queen of your own court, to find time to find you. That's the answer. Yeah. And that's the thing that you said from the very beginning of this interview. You said it was about what I loved.
Yes.
Staying true to me.
Stay true to me. That, you know what? And I try to say this to young student athletes, when I'm always talking to kids, that is the one thing that I try to say to them. I go, you have no idea. And in today's, and it's different for kids now versus when I was young, because now there's opportunities for everything, but you have to get out and find it. You can't wait for someone to give you something. You have to go out and find it.
I always tell people, I'm like, if you really want it, there's nothing that you can't have. And I feel like sometimes we get frustrated and we get discouraged. It's because you're telling yourself that you want it, but you don't really want it because you're not pulling in the work.
You don't.
And so now you're mad because
the door. Yeah, you're right. You are right.
And you gotta put your hand on that knob, turn, and open.
And walk through. And I literally, there's something else that I can honestly say. I went, you know what? How about the NBA? Thank you for cracking the door. But you know what? I knocked that damn door down. See, there's the difference. See, here's my thing. And I can honestly attest to this. Yeah, they opened it a little bit. They cracked it. But I put my foot and knocked it down.
Bam.
Period. Yes.
Period. Done. Pop it. What? Stunt on it. What? Two. What?
I love it. There you go. See,
oh my God.
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes, you got to. Thank you so much. Because I'm sure there are so many people that we just afraid to be who they are. And when you talk about success, is it the money? Is it what is it? And I'm like, if you can't see you, what does it matter?
You know what? And all of that will come if you see you.
Come
on. And I like that. I may have to steal that one.
Okay. Now, I love it. So let me ask you this. Where can people follow you and contact you if they want to see you? How can you be reached? Know what?
You, of course, Instagram, Facebook. I'm on all of it. And it's so funny. My wife actually gave me my Instagram name. So I'm _lashes, which I think is kind of cute. So, it's kind of, being a woman. And I can honestly tell you it came from because, I'm not a big makeup girl, never have been. Big tomboy, you know me. But when I got married, my wife made me get lashes. So that's where the NBA lashes came from because, of course, it's, still kind of me, but, not too much over on the other side, just a little something. And so I thought that was really, really a kind of a cute name that I kind of fell in love with. So, of course, for me, you can follow I really try to kind of give some inspirational stuff. I do talk about I put stuff about my camps. I put stuff about officiating. I put stuff about, anything that I feel that is motivating, that could help anyone who follows me. That's what I do.
Okay. And you've given so much inspiration, but you're the very first person, but not like you're not used to being the first where I'm implementing this. But as you know, this is called Vitamin D, and it's all about having a dose of inspiration. And we get vitamin D from the sun, and we're shedding light into people. And my name happens to be Dawn, so just a reflection of that.
I love it. But I want to thank you. You know what? Because I think when we were the one restaurant we went to, I can't remember the name of it. But,
well, we go through the kitchen and
yeah. But I remember you mentioning to me that this was something that you were kind of working on. Just so you know, I do remember that you were trying to get some things off the ground, and now sitting here talking with you, I can honestly say, you go, girl.
Oh my
You do, Miss Vitamin D. I love it. You know what? And that's what you have to do. I think, most people just don't want to step out on faith. And I commend you, Dawn. See here again, I commend you on your perseverance to get me on the show. But that's what you got to do. And most people don't want to do it. You go, you know what? One stumbling block, I don't care. Another one, I don't care. Another one, I don't care. I'm going to get it done. And those are the stories. And I want to thank you, because those are the stories that our young men and women need to hear. That's awesome.
That just touched my heart, because that has to be at least 3 or 4 years ago, at least.
Absolutely. No, yes, it was clearly, definitely, no doubt, that long, at least three, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you for speaking life into me.
Well, you know what? We do it to each other.
That's right.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm very, very happy. Thank you for just having me on, just caring, just wanting to share some warm, wonderful, inspirational thoughts. I appreciate it. So just want you to know I was very, very happy to do it. And thank you for having me on as well.
Get your vitamin D right here with me and get excited about